I'm Connor Old, and welcome back to another episode of Old's Oscar Countdown. And this week, we're going to be looking at the Best Actress predictions for the 2023 Oscars. We just started the series back up again, once again, the 7th season of Old's Oscar Countdown. We have historical data and analysis from 6 seasons of accurate reviews, 70% plus on nominations, predictions. But of course, if you're new to the series, what we do every single week is pick a category for the 2023 Oscars and try to predict what's going to get nominated in that category. As we evolve and get more into the awards race, I'll be sort of, combining a couple episodes, adapted in original screenplay, some of the technical categories, but I do try to focus on every category, predict what I think is going to get nominated, even the shorts, and really go in depth to help you understand the race and where it stands and get a little bit of sort of analytical analysis of potential possibilities of winners, but also in terms of nominations, so you can win your Oscar pool. But the show also looks at the awards race in general. I'll be covering the Critics' Choice Awards, I'll be covering the Golden Globes, everything that we can get to sort of help us analyze that big one, which is the Oscars ultimately. So we're back into the swing of things. You guys have been showing a lot of support on that first video, that Best Picture Winners video, so please do keep that up. But jumping into Best Actress predictions, my first prediction is going to be Cate Blanchett from Tar, the current frontrunner and presumptive winner in this category. While I'm not as confident as other people that she's going to win, like a guarantee, I think there's a lot of possibilities in this category. I do think she is the main frontrunner in it right now because she has a lot of things going for her. Just in terms of the performance of the film in general. Coming out of Venice, it was widely acclaimed. She won the prize there at Venice for her acting. A 2-time Oscar winner and well-nominated actress, very well liked. So we have Cate Blanchett, who's in a movie that we think is going to do very well in terms of picture and nominations, and she's the best part about it. Well, therefore, that just makes it almost automatically a really great chance at winning for Best Picture, particularly because of how the film is structured. It's very much, not an ensemble movie. I mean, she is the lead, she is the main person, she is sort of the main draw of the film. And then if you look at it logically, which we always try to do, I think this movie's going to get nominated for picture. I think it could get in for director. I think it could get in for screenplay. So then if it gets in for all those, acting, directing, screenplay, a picture, it's clearly a very well-liked movie. So what I did was actually go back from the past 5 years and try to figure out how many movies were nominated for director, picture, writing, and an acting nomination that ultimately didn't get a win at the Oscars. And there are only 2, The Irishman and Late Bird. So it's very rare, the point being it's very rare for a movie to get nominated for picture, director, screenplay, and an acting nomination, and then get nothing else, and get no wins. That's a rare thing to happen. It's happened, times in the past, but it's more unlikely than likely. So if we really do think Todd Field's going to get in for director and the movie's going to get in for original screenplay, well, therefore, it should sort of get that Cate Blanchett win, or at least guarantee a nomination. So that's where it sort of stands right now from a logical point of view. But then I also decided to do a very other interesting stat, which was look at the winners of acting categories and whether or not they had an acting co-star nominated. So I went through for the past 10 years, and I saw an average of 2.4 out of the 4 winners in each of the acting categories, a 2.4 average, in which the winners that won also had an acting co-star. So if you look at last year, Troy Kotsur, who won for Best Supporting Actor for Coda, he would be sort of an anomaly in the sense that he didn't have another acting co-star that was also nominated. Where you look at someone like Will Smith, he won for Best Lead Actor, but he also had Ingenue Ellis nominated for Best Supporting Actress. So last year was kind of an odd one in which only one of the 4 winners had an acting co-star, but an average of 2.4 of the acting winners also have an acting co-star nominated, which I actually think is a good thing for Cate Blanchett, because if you look at the categories the way I did, you can sort of look at it 2 ways. One way, sort of negatively, you could say, well, if an average of 2.4 have an acting co-star nominated, and we're assuming Tar has maybe a lower likelihood of getting another acting nomination, well, therefore, Cate has to go against historical consensus, which is difficult for her, and maybe she won't win. That's one way to look at it. I look at it almost the other way, which is the Best Actress category in particular, out of all the 4 categories, has the most amount of winners without an acting nomination. As a matter of fact, 6 out of the last 10 Best Actress winners won for their movie without having their co-star nominated. So last year is a prime example. Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, none of her other co-stars got nominated, yet she still won. So the Best Actress category is actually primed for this sort of situation that Cate Blanchett is most likely going to put herself into. And then you can also look at it in the way that, well, if I think Brendan Gleeson's going to win for supporting actor, I think Brendan Fraser's going to win for The Whale, and I think Claire Foy or Jessie Buckley's going to win for Best Supporting Actress, or even Stephanie Hsu, you go, oh, well, all those other people will probably have an acting co-star nominated, right? So therefore, Cate Blanchett makes sense, and she's the sort of one outlier, and that makes sense logically within my predictions, which I'm sort of on that side. I think Best Actress is just a category historically has been more towards that likelihood of having only one nominee from their movie win, and that's totally okay. But also, if we have some of the other movies and the presumptive winners in those movies, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a last year where you have these sort of one-offs. It does seem like it's going to be, people really like Women Talking, they're going to nominate the actors there. People like Banshees of Inisherin, they're going to nominate the actors there, and that sort of a process. So I think Cate is actually in a really prime position to do well. Right now, I think it's all determinant on whether or not Todd Field gets in for director, or if the movie gets in for screenplay, or maybe another acting co-star. All that stuff is sort of in the air, but right now what we have is a terrific tour de force performance from one of our greatest actors, and based on the performance in general and all the reviews, she has a strong chance of getting the win. Then my second contender is Michelle Yeoh from Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I went with her because I'm a real big believer in the movie itself. I think it's going to be a very well nominated movie, acting nominations, screenplay, even some technical stuff as well, director, picture, and I do think it's a real contender for Best Picture. So if I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is a strong contender for Best Picture, well then you have to look at what the path is for Best Picture, and that is most likely an acting award win or a screenplay win, which I talked about last week on why I think Everything Everywhere at Once has a strong chance of winning Best Picture, because I think it's a strong chance of winning screenplay, and then it could even get a supporting actor or supporting actress or even a lead actress. I think that are in the conversation for any of those categories. But why I like Michelle Yeoh in particular is just because narratives do exist when it comes to Oscar campaigns and winning at the Oscars. While I'm a little bit more dubious of narratives than I am in years past because of being burned by Glenn Close's and Sylvester Stallone's, I do think that it's still an existing factor that Michelle Yeoh is a legendary actor who's never been nominated before, who may get sort of that legacy narrative. Similarly to someone like Jessica Chastain from last year, who she's done great work, had been nominated in the past, but it was like, finally, this is her year, we're going to give it to her. She did that early campaigning at TIFF, the same way Michelle Yeoh has done early campaigning at TIFF. I feel like they're sort of trying to sort of position her in that way. And then also in the sense that, sort of the most basic sense, the people that see Everything Everywhere All at Once like it. And if you like the movie, you like Michelle Yeoh. She's the sort of main part of the movie. She delivers a lot of the sort of emotional parts of the movie, in my opinion, has these speeches, very complex character, trying to process everything, but also sort of process her emotions. So intellectually and emotionally, I think works on both levels. And I think that Michelle Yeoh has that sort of legacy, very well respected, been around the game, been in a lot of movies that are well liked for, the Hong Kong action movies of the 90s, into Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, into, her great sort of wiser career in the 2000s, transferring into Hollywood. I really do think that this is sort of a classic role for her, and just from the basic fact that people like the movie. If you like the movie, you like her. Why not her as a potential winner? Have that legacy, have that narrative. At the very least, I do think she's going to get that nomination, though, and I'd be surprised if she didn't. Then in my third slot, I'm going to go with Michelle Williams from The Fabelmans. Now, early on, we thought that maybe she'd be campaigning in Best Supporting Actress, in which I thought she'd have an easy chance at winning that and almost have that locked up. But then, it was decided that she would go into lead ultimately. And while that sort of, I think, diminished the chances of The Fabelmans in terms of winning Best Picture, because before it would be a lot easier for her to win for supporting, Steven for director, and then the movie picture, that's the traditional path. I do think that Michelle still has sort of a dark horse chance of winning in this category, because you have an actor who's been nominated for 4 times already, so it's a very well-liked actor. That kind of surprised me going back and going, oh wow, she actually does have like 4 nominations, solid nominations. She is very well-liked. So she's going to get her 5th one. Will she sort of finally win for that? Potentially. She's a well-liked actress. She's in a movie, The Fabelmans, which is currently the Best Picture frontrunner. So if they really like that movie, they're going to want to reward it somewhere. I don't think it's going to be in screenplay. Could be in director. But if it's not in director, it very well could be in lead actress here with Michelle Williams, a very well-liked person playing, a semi-real person, kind of autobiographical for Steven Spielberg, based on his own mother. And then if you look at the Best Picture winners of the past 10 years, half of them won an acting award. And the other half, if they didn't win an acting award, they won Best Director. So it's very, except for, Ben Affleck in Margot's case, it's very rare in the sense that a movie to win Best Picture and to not have an acting award or not have a directing award. That's sort of the two main paths, which makes sense. So if Steven Spielberg wins for Best Director, Fabelmans can win and Michelle Williams can be kaput. But if Steven Spielberg isn't sort of a guaranteed lock, hey, we've given it to him before, maybe we want to give it to Sarah Polley or Damien Chazelle, well then Michelle Williams I do think becomes a lot more attractive because she is sort of main star of note in this movie that's campaigning for lead in a big movie, delivering a great performance by all means from people who have seen the film. So who's not to say that she can win as well? But I do think she's secured herself at least a nomination because of the success of the film, because of the strength of the film itself, and her past, pedigree of 4 nominations. Plus, that sort of motherly figure has done very well at the Oscars. Viola Davis winning for Fences, Patricia Arquette winning for Boyhood. That sort of supportive mother is a very sort of compelling and well appreciated kind of a character trope, at least in terms of the Oscars. So don't be, afraid of putting Michelle Williams here in at lead, and even potentially predicting it to win. I don't think it's a crazy idea. Then in my 4th slot, I'm going to go with Danielle Deadwyler from Till. She is the ingenue of this year, the sort of younger actress that comes out of nowhere, that isn't as experienced, hasn't had any nominations, but wows people. The sort of young actress that puts out a performance that the Academy can't ignore, regardless of the quality of the movie. And if you look at the sort of historical trends for this category of Best Lead Actress, I looked at the past 5 years, and I found an average of 2.2 of the acting nominees in this category were newcomers. That being said, that they were their first nomination. So if we look at my sort of current predictions, I'd have 2, newcomers, and on average it's always 2. We'll have, an Andra Day for her first nomination for United States versus Billie Holiday, or we'll have a Cynthia Erivo in Harriet, or we'll have a Margot Robbie in I, Tonya. In terms of these lead actress sort of breakout roles, generally, historically speaking, this category usually prefers and appreciates younger actresses versus sort of older actresses. They always appreciate the one person who, wow, I never even knew who this person is. They give a great performance. We want to give it to them. Versus, say, the Best Actor category very much leans to older and established nominees. Best Actress is much more welcoming to newcomers and people who sort of they haven't seen before. And I think Danielle Deadwyler, from all the reviews from people who have seen the film, she is that. It's a pretty good movie, solid movie, but she is sort of the main star, very empathetic, very powerful in that. And I think she has a real path. The director of this film, her last film was Clemency with Alfre Woodard, who almost had a potential chance there as well. She actually got a BAFTA nomination for her performance in that. So I think now that's not a directorial debut, now that she's shown she's a talented director, I think Danielle can actually get nominated here for Best Lead Actress, potentially even win if there's a certain campaign for it. The big sort of knock against her is just the fact that I don't know if the movie is going to get any other nominations. I think it could get in for a screenplay nomination, but I'm a little bit sort of cautious of that. So right now, it's all dependent on people seeing the movie, and if they do, I'm pretty confident that Danielle will get a nomination. It just fits the mold of the newcomer, of the ingenue, of the younger actress, very much in the mold of the Andra Days or the Cynthia Erivos in years past. Then my final nomination, I'm going to go with Margot Robbie for Babylon. So as of right now, Margot Robbie, we're unsure of where she's going to campaign. People haven't seen Babylon. We don't know if it's going to be a real Oscar contender, but by all means, in the sort of whisperings that we hear, it's going to be a serious Oscar contender, which I do believe it will be, just based on the talent, Damien Chazelle, the actors involved. And from what we've heard, Margot Robbie is sort of the co-lead, along with Diego Calva, of the film. Now, the thing is, I think if Paramount is smart, they may go, okay, Margot Robbie, put you in supporting actress. That has a very good likelihood of winning in supporting actress because there's no clear winner, and Michelle Williams has sort of moved over to lead, so there's a real possibility in supporting actress, whereas lead actress is very competitive. We'll do that, we'll win there, maybe even for director, and we'll win for picture. That our path is a lot easier. If they're going from a pure analytical Oscar campaign approach, I think they'd actually put Margot Robbie in supporting actress. But right now, I think ultimately, my decision is I think they're going to campaign her, and my prediction is they're going to campaign her in lead actress. Why? This is Margot Robbie. She's one of the biggest actresses, lead actresses in Hollywood right now. She can open up a movie. She has a lot of juice behind her. You know, look at Amsterdam, most recently by David O. Russell. That film didn't do huge at the box office, but she was sort of in the main poster. She was sort of the main draw. Clearly, studios think that she can be sort of marketed upon based on her as a movie star, which very few actors can do. So do I really think an actor like that stature is going to campaign for supporting actress willingly? I don't think so. I think she's going to force herself to say, no, this is a real lead actress role. I want to go for it. And I do think if she does go for it, there's a chance that she could win. I mean, why not? Damien Chazelle, his last 3 films, had a total of 4 nominations, 4 acting nominations. 2 of them were winners. You know, Whiplash, J.K. Simmons, Emma Stone for La La Land. And you're telling me this new film about Hollywood, Margot Robbie plays a young actress that is, you know, about sex exploitation and the sort of acting industry as a whole and sort of a dynamic performance? You're telling me that she potentially couldn't win? You know, that sort of role type reminds me a lot of Emma Stone in 2016's La La Land. Both actresses, both potentially sort of dynamic, and both sort of young. Let's not forget, Margot Robbie is still 32. She's been nominated twice, and she sort of fits the similar mold to someone like a Danielle Deadwyler, but even more so in the sense that she's been nominated before. So Margot Robbie could very much be the sort of new ingenue, the new sort of... She's clearly, I think, the sort of biggest female actress right now in terms of movie star potential and persona and the products she's chosen. I mean, Barbie, I think, is going to be a very successful movie. She does the Harley Quinn stuff, which she's sort of done with now, but she's sort of evolving, and I think she has a real strong fan base that very few actors have. So why not? If this movie really is a potential Best Picture contender, if Damien Chazelle's going to be in for director, if it's going to get screenplay and cinematography and sound and be a big sort of Oscar movie, clearly it's going to be well liked. Clearly it could get in for you know, potential picture winner. So where's its wins going to come? I think Margot Robbie, even if she campaigns in lead, has a still strong chance if she really has a sort of dynamic performance, if she really is as electric as I think she is in something like the trailer. She could have a strong chance of even the win. Because if we look at the past, you know, if her main competition right now is Cate Blanchett, when did Cate Blanchett win? When she was 35. She is a young Australian blonde actress as well, similarly to Cate. So do they really want to give Cate her 3rd award, or do they want to give the award to the new Cate Blanchett, Margot Robbie, the 30-year-old, you know, Margot Robbie's 32. Cate Blanchett won her first Oscar when she was 35. A blonde Australian actress. Another maybe blonde Australian actress that she can compare to, Nicole Kidman, who also won her first Oscar at 35. So Margot Robbie, 32 now, could be in position for another young Australian blonde actress, ingenue type, real crowning that she is sort of the queen of Hollywood. Give her the award here for Babylon and this sort of dynamite performance. So I have her in the 5th slot just because she could campaign as supporting actress and win in that category, but I think right now she's in lead, and I think once we see the movie and the way it's sort of being campaigned and have a late release and really build up towards the Oscars, she could be just the home run winner by the end of it. Watch out for Margot Robbie if she does sort of stay in this category. Then some possible contenders. My first one is Naomi Ackie from I Want to Dance with Somebody, which may be a little bit of a surprise to some people. I don't see it in a lot of people's predictions, but I think she has a real shot at getting nominated. I mean, how many times have we seen a music biopic of someone playing a real life person get nominated at the Oscars? So many times has that happened, and right now there isn't sort of a clear example of that. There's a lot of original movies like a Babylon, like a Tar, that, you know, are based on somebody. You know, Till would be the sort of classic real life person kind of a nomination, but particularly music biopics, they have done very well at the Oscars in terms of getting nominations. Andra Day, most recently, is the sort of clearest example, playing Billie Holiday. So I think Naomi Ackie, you know, we haven't seen the movie, but that being said, I'll tell you how the movie's going to play out. I'll tell you how the reviews are going to play out. No one's seen it yet, but I can tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be a pretty generic standard biopic, but Naomi Ackie's going to be terrific in it. I've seen the trailer, I know exactly what's going to happen, and that's exactly what the critical reviews are. So let's assume that's what it's going to be, because that's what it's going to be. So let's assume that's going to happen. Well, then why not is she not going to get nominated for Best Lead Actress? The same thing applies to someone like a Danielle Deadwyler, except Naomi's film is coming out later, so she could have a little bit of a late boost and a little bit more top-of-mind awareness, which we've seen help films, particularly with Oscar nominations, particularly when we're talking about the Oscars, which are 6 months from now. We're talking about Danielle Deadwyler now because her movie's out now, but who knows, maybe it's Naomi Ackie later on, and the same thing I think applies to her, where it's very much like, oh, a brand new star, young, coming out of the woodwork, and it's like, wow, she's this amazing performance, looks like Whitney, sings just as good as her, wow, incredible performance by her, let's give her a nomination. Same thing sort of applies. I don't know if the movie's going to get any other nominations. I don't even know if it's campaigning for original song. Maybe if it is, we'll get it in there. And then also you look at the people behind it, particularly the screenwriter, Anthony McCartan. Oh, who's that exactly? Oh, he's the guy who wrote The Theory of Everything, which got Eddie Redmayne an Oscar. Oh, and he also wrote Darkest Hour, which got Gary Oldman an Oscar. Oh, right, and he also was the guy who wrote Bohemian Rhapsody, which got Rami Malek an Oscar. So this guy is the sort of expert when it comes to these biopics, musical biopics, and I think that if it really is sort of a classic great performance by her in an okay movie, that will be enough to potentially get her a nomination. So she's a real sort of surprise nomination dark horse. Don't count her out yet just because we haven't seen the movie. She should be in your potential consideration. And then in my final slot, I went with Olivia Colman in Empire of Light. I'll tell you why I don't have her in, even though she's been so well liked. The reason why I have her as a possible contender is because in 2018 she won, 2020 she got nominated, 2021 she got nominated. So she has a historic sort of consistency where every year it seems like she gets nominated. And the film, directed by Sam Mendes, cinematography by Roger Deakins, it has enough well-respected people within it that the Academy is going to see it. And who knows if they're going to like it or whatnot. It has poor reviews, which is why it's out of my grouping, and it does feel weird to not have Olivia Colman in my predictions, but ultimately I didn't have her because those reviews are poor, because I don't truly believe in the success of Empire of Light as a strong Oscar contender. And then also because if you look at her past nominations, it's easy to say, oh, they love Olivia Colman, they're just going to nominate her anyways because they like her. Which is true, she does seem to be in this sort of really strong zone right now. But also, let's not forget the type of movies that she was in. Her first one, The Favorite, was nominated for Best Picture, was nominated for Screenplay, was nominated for Director, and had multiple acting nominations, right? Then her next nomination, The Father, won for Best Lead Actor, won for Screenplay, and then also she got nominated. So, and Pictures, very well-liked movie. Then you look at even last year with The Lost Daughter, she had Jessie Buckley, another co-star, nominated, and the movie also got nominated for Screenplay. So every single one of those past 3 nominations, Olivia Colman had an acting co-star nominated and a screenplay nomination, at the very least. Empire of Light, I don't think it's going to get a screenplay nomination. I'd be very surprised, and I don't think it's going to get any other actors, any other co-stars in that movie, except maybe Olivia Colman. So maybe the strength of Olivia Colman was always based on the strength of the films that she was in, and because Empire of Light I don't think very highly of in terms of its Oscar chances, well then maybe it just won't get in at all, and Olivia Colman is currently why it's in that sort of second possible contender chance. But that's it. Those are my predictions for Best Lead Actress at the 2023 Oscars. They're not my final predictions. I will be giving my final predictions when we get closer to the Oscar nominations date, in which I'll give a whole video outlining everything. But this was the video where I can go into depth about all the possible contenders, who I think is going to potentially win, where people are in the race, so that gives you an understanding of where we are, using some historical analysis, some data analytics, just to help you make sure you have the most accurate and smart predictions at the end of the day. But that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, stay tuned.